everybody, to another Sunday Storytime with me, Terrence, and my brother Torrance.
Hi everyone.
So this week, Torrance chose a book called The Tale of Peter Rabbit by Beatrix Potter. This is definitely an old classic because it was first published in 1902.
Yes.
So you're going to be reading it for us today?
Yes.
Awesome.
Get ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. Well, this is the tale of the Peter Rabbit by Beatrix Potter. Once upon a time, there were 4 little rabbits, and their names were Flopsy, Mopsy, Cottontail, and Peter. They lived with their mother in a sandbag underneath the root of a very big fig fir tree. Now, my dears, said old Mrs. Rabbit, one morning you may go into the fields or down the lane, but don't go into Mr. McGregor's garden. Your father had an accident there. He was put in a pie by Mrs. McGregor.
Ooh.
Ooh. Now run along and don't get into mischief. I am going out. Then old Mrs. Rabbit took a basket, got an umbrella, and went through the wood to the baker's. She bought a loaf of brown bread and 5 currant buns. Flopsy, Mopsy, and Cottontail, who were good little buddies, went down the lane to gather blackberries. But Peter, who was very naughty, ran straight away to Mr. McGregor's garden and squeezed under the gate. First he ate some lettuces and some French beans, and then he ate some radishes. And then, feeling rather sick, he went to look for some parsley. But round the end of a cucumber frame, whom should he meet but Mr. McGregor?
Uh-oh.
Ooh. Mr. McGregor was on his hands and knees planting out young cabbages, but he jumped up and ran after Peter, waving a rake and calling out, "Stop, thief!" Peter was most dreadfully frightened. He rushed all over the garden, for he had forgotten the way back to the gate. He lost one of his shoes among the cabbages, and the other shoe amongst the potatoes. Fruit potatoes. After listing them, he ran on 4 legs and went faster, so that I think he might have gotten away altogether if he had not unfortunately run into a gooseberry net. He got caught by the large buttons on his jacket. It was a blue jacket with brass buttons, quite new. Peter gave himself up for lost and shed big tears, but his sobs were overheard by some friendly sparrows who flew to him in great excitement and implored to him to exert himself. Mr. McGregor came up with a sleeve, which he intended to pop up on the top of Peter, but Peter wriggled out just in time, leaving his jacket behind. And rushed into the loot shed and jumped into a can. It would have been a beautiful thing to hide in if it had not so much had not had so much water in it. Mr. McGregor was quite sure that Peter was somewhere in the tool shed. Perhaps hidden underneath a flower pot. He began to turn them over carefully, looking under each. Presently, Peter sneezed. God's true. Mr. McGregor was after him in no time. And tried to put his foot under Peter. He jumped out of a window, upsetting 3 plants. The window was too small for Mr. McGregor, and he was tired of running after Peter. He went back to his work. Peter sat down to rest. He was out of breath and trembling with fright, and he had not the least idea which way to go. Also, he was very deaf with sitting in that can. After a time, he began to wonder about going lippity, not very fast, and looking all around. He found a door in a wall, but it was locked, and there was no room for a fat little rabbit to squeeze underneath. An old mouse was running in and out over the stone doorstep, carrying peas and beans to family in the wood. Peter asked her to wait to the gate, but she had such a large pea in her mouth that she could not answer. She only shook her head at him. Peter began to cry. Then he tried to find his way straight across the garden, but he became more and more puzzled. Presently, he came to a pond where Mr. McGregor filled his water cans. The white cat was staring at some goldfish. She sat very, very still. But now and then the tip of her tail twitched as if it were alive. Peter thought it best to go away without speaking to her. He had heard about cats from his cousin, little Benjamin Bunny. He went back towards the tool shed, but suddenly quite close to it, he heard the tones of a whole scratch, 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 scratch. Peter scattered underneath the bushes, but presently, as nothing happened, he came out and climbed upon a wheelbarrow and peeped over. The first thing he saw was Mr. McGregor holding onions. His back was turned towards Peter, and beyond him was the gate. Peter got down very quietly off the wheelbarrow and started running as fast as he could along a straight walk behind some black currant bushes. Mr. McGregor caught sight of him at the corner, but Peter did not care. He slipped underneath the gate. It was safe at last in the wood outside the garden. Good. Mr. McGregor hung up the little jacket and the shoes for a scarecrow to frighten the blackbirds. Peter never stopped running or looked behind him till he got home to the big fir tree. He was so tired that he flopped down under the nice soft sand on the floor, got the rabbit hole, and shut his eyes. His mother was busy cooking. She wondered what he had done of his clothes. It was the second little jacket and pair of shoes that Peter had lost in a fortnight. I am sorry to say that Peter was not very well during the evening. His mother put him to bed and made some chamomile tea, and she gave a dose of it to Peter, 1 spoonful, to be taken at bedtime. But Flopsy and Cottontail got bread and milk and blackberries for supper. The end.
Great job reading.
Huh?
Great job reading the book.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
So, why did you choose The Tale of Peter Rabbit this week, Torrance?
Well, I remember this one from childhood for sure.
Okay.
And also, because I was born in the year of rabbit,
Yeah.
I've always loved rabbits.
Okay.
In cartoons or whatever.
So besides Peter, which other rabbit characters are you like that you really have an affinity for?
I always loved Bugs Bunny.
Bugs Bunny, yeah, okay.
Bugs Bunny, yeah.
Anyone else?
That's all I can think about right now.
But you feel a connection to them because you're born in the year of the rabbit.
Good, yes.
Yeah. And so this one you read in childhood. So now that you're reading it again as an adult, like what do you like most about this book?
Well, for one, I always wanted to say Flopsy Flopsy in Cottontail. Got fun to say.
It's fun to say.
Okay.
And you got to say it at least twice.
Yeah.
Okay. Besides that, what else do you like about the book?
Well, I think it teaches kids a lesson, I guess, to not trespass or do bad things, or else it won't be a good outcome. It's like you got sick. Kind of a little bit.
Yeah, it definitely seemed like he got sick from fear.
Yeah.
Because it seemed like his ordeal in Mr. McGregor's garden was pretty frightening for him.
Yeah, I think I was scared of Mr. McGregor too when I was younger.
Oh yeah? Like when you heard the story?
Yeah, I think so.
Or was there a real life Mr. McGregor that you've experienced before?
No, not really.
No, not really. Nothing close to that.
No.
No, like trespassing or.
No. Yeah. But I think it's good that he's a bit curious, I guess.
Okay.
Curious. Yeah, to want to explore.
Yeah.
But after what happened to his father, God, that's so terrible. Got big to the pie. Oh my God.
Well, I guess there would be always a person, at least in this particular family, that is kind of similar to one of the parent figures.
Yeah.
And so Peter is kind of like his father.
Yeah.
Adventurous, curious, willing to get into trouble.
Yeah.
But at the same time, able to escape.
Yeah, that was the best part.
Yeah.
My goodness, it was able to escape.
Yeah. And this also says a lot about the book too, right? Like, written in 1902. What was it like reading? Because there are words in here that were kind of like old English style.
Yeah.
Right? How did it feel reading that in that particular style?
It's some interesting sentences, I guess.
Yeah. And I found what was interesting is that they use chamomile tea to like help Peter feel better.
Yeah.
Something that's still being used today.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Is there anything else that you like about the book?
No.
Yeah. And are there other Peter Rabbit type books too? Or is this the main one?
I think that's the main one.
This is the only one?
But they did make a movie though.
Oh, did they really?
Yeah, based on Peter Rabbit, yeah.
Oh.
Yep, it was the one with James Corden. Because of course, it is Peter Rabbit, yeah.
Oh yeah. So it's based on this book?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I guess, I picked the character that's he's against in that movie. I think it's a younger Mr. McGregor.
Okay.
Maybe the son, I don't know.
Oh.
I think, at least I think that's what.
Oh cool.
That's what it is.
Okay. So clearly, it's a great classic
Yeah.
that they even made a movie out of it.
Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah, I definitely feel that
Yes.
similar lessons that you gathered from it, I gathered too.
Yeah.
In terms of, did we learn from our parents, right? And in this case, Peter didn't learn that his father got eaten, so he's willing to take that risk
Yeah.
and also be eaten.
Yeah.
Whereas Flopsy, Mopsy, and Cottontail all learned from it,
Yeah.
right? And didn't go there. And at the same time, were also rewarded
Yeah.
afterwards for not going there,
Yeah, reward it is.
right? They got to have a good meal at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Whereas all Peter got was just feeling sick and nauseous.
Okay, yeah.
So I guess for any kids that are out there watching this, probably best to listen to your parents, especially if your parents may be eaten. You don't want to go there.
Good.
Any final thoughts about the book?
Illustrations is pretty nice.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're nice color.
especially these are these original illustrations from the 1902?
Not sure, maybe, possibly.
Okay, because yeah, these are beautiful illustrations from 1902.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, if you like this book, we'll include two links this time, because you could, if you want to buy the book, we'll provide an Amazon link below, but also, Torrance actually found this book on a website called freekidsbooks.org, so we'll also include that link as well, where you could download free ebooks. Can't go wrong with free ebooks, especially classics like Peter Rabbit. So we'll include those two links below. And don't forget to send us your favorite books so that we could read. We've read a few from your recommendations already, and they were lots of fun to read. So send us some more.
Yeah.
And where can they find you on social points?
Go by neighbor Torrance. Go on YouTube. Get on Facebook. Get it on Instagram as well. Got Torrance.ho. TORRANCE.HO.
And you can find me on Instagram at Terrence Ho, TERRENCEHO, and on Twitter, Terrence WK And let's help Torrance reach this 100 subscriber on his channel. He's about 12 away, so like and subscribe wherever below. And have an awesome week, and we will see you next week.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.